Good morning. It's another AAA Wargaming Battle Report. This is number 12 and number 3 for Masters Open. So, just a quick run through of what my last battle reports were. I played Matt Pell and his Warriors and got smashed 18-2 in a great game. I then played Darren Williamson again, and this time he took me off for 15-5. So 7 out of 40 points so far. So it's looking pretty interesting, and I think I was second from bottom table. So final game of day one, and it's not looking too great at the moment. And who do I get drawn again? Tommy Tucker. So we've both travelled 3 hours up the road to then play each other, I think, on the penultimate table in the Masters Open. So here it is. Oh, sorry, this is battle report number 13. But game number 3. The scenario was counter thrust, which is the one where you put down 3 units at the very least, and they've got to be 20 inches away from the rest of the army, or each other's army. So it's quite restrictive. I do like counter thrust. It forces you to put some models down. It just makes it a bit more interesting than just drop or not drop. I quite enjoy that part of the game, even though I'm not very good at it. But my army has got, or the army I took has only got 1 Heath Hunter unit, so. And the Briar Maidens, normally I like to play those 3 off to give me some ground. In terms of hold the ground in the centre, it's possible an advantage to me because I think I've got the big unit of Dryads and I can push him back compared to his units. So we know what his army's going to be like, lots of big monsters, a big Quattle Lord, cowboys and stuff. So I was pretty confident I knew what was going to happen. And I liked the objective. So I thought I had the advantage in the objective. I can keep pushing back. But now onto the army lists. In terms of my army list, I think the key one here was going to be not letting the Druid Dragon get shot off because Tommy was running Divination. One unerring strike on that bad boy and it's all gone. The Avatar is going to be key just to keep pushing him back. And if I want to deal with his cowboys, as long with the BSB still has drums of Cameron. So he was going to be aware of it for this game. And then my key units are the Dryads and then the Kestrel Knights, just to try and pick him off. The Sentinels are just going to keep plinking stuff, but other than that, I don't think he's going to give me easy options to shoot off his monsters with the Briar Maidens. He's got lots of maneuverable stuff, so it's going to be not letting down my flanks. So I think I was going to try and deploy a bit wide with the Kestrels, but then everything else is going to keep a bit more central and just push him back and off the hold the ground just to concentrate there. And look at his list. The big changes are his Quattle Lord, I think, is +2 to cast or channel 2. I'm not entirely sure, but it's got Divination, which is a big change. He's still got the 2 character Warlord things, which are still a pain in my side. Luckily, still only got 2 units with 15 Saurian Warriors. I find much scarier the big unit just because I am not as easily able to shift it. So I can charge Kestrels, I can charge the Avatar into them, and there's a potential chance that I break them and stuff like that. Otherwise, his monster setup is slightly changed. A Torso with Energy of the Ancient, so that can be quite annoying. And then a Great Bow, and then a Stygiasaur Mystic Traveller, just to make good use of that Divination and gives him a bit of Shamanism spells as well. So I think I've got this wrong. I think Mystic Traveller is actually an Adept, so I think he's got Awaken the Beast and Swarm of Insects just to keep picking me off on that. So I think that's there, but I'm not entirely sure. But my reasoning here was I took Spirits of Wood just because I wanted double forest spells for my Blade Dancers in case he charged one of his big monsters in and I couldn't destroy them. Everything else I was pretty happy with, but I didn't want him to force me to make a choice. I've been caught out a few times and got lucky on charge overruns with them, and that's something I just wanted to stop. Otherwise, Healing Waters, Stone Skin, and Summer's Grave are the average ones. And then I took Forest Embrace for that second forest and Master of Earth just so I can have some stuff and keep picking him off. In terms of him, he took Fate's Judgment, Stars Align, and Unerring Strike, and Spark of Creation. I was surprised he didn't take Know Thine Enemy just to give himself a bit more hitting in combat, but it might not have actually had an effect on me in terms of that. So maybe that was probably a good choice actually. So cancel what I said. But the Fate's, looking at it, the Fate's Judgment and Unerring Strike, coupled with some of his poison shooting or a lucky bow shot, could be dangerous to my dragon. But as long as I keep them far away, I'm relatively happy. In terms of deployment, so this is how it looks. So what happened was we dropped for 3, and then I didn't go for first turn. So this is after Vanguards. So we first had, I think I first dropped the Heath Riders on this side. So what I wanted to do, so first he dropped these Pterodons here, just to give me a 20 inches away from the center, which is a good move. I put here because what I wanted to do was force him away from this side, because I liked the way this, I thought I liked the way this impassable works, so that I could get around his flank and really come at him. What I actually should have done is the opposite way, so that I can come around at this angle, just here. Just the way I in game 4 I can explain why, but I think Kestrel Knights work really quite well with an impassable because you can just bounce around it and cause quite a bit, and it's far easier to get around. And you're closer to the battle line while doing it, whilst this one is quite a bit of far way out, so it does give me a bit of restrictions when I started moving around. In terms of then, I then had my Dryads I put back here, which I didn't think was giving away much of the game on the second one because he put the Pterodons down. I've got to keep them in the centre and they're back. I don't need them to be there till turn 2, so they can still have enough range to get there. And then I put my big Dryads in the centre because it's really obvious where they're going. They're going in the centre somewhere. What I've done here is I kept the Briar Maidens out here because what I don't want is to have them drop rocks, so they're about 30 inches away from this, and it just means they can't go around my flank. I've got the Blade Dancer in the centre, so if he does start pushing down this hill, I can countercharge with the BSB and the unit, and probably even go through his monsters. I've kept the Archers in the centre, one for a bit of cover, and just I want to start picking off some of these units as well. And then I've got the Sentinels off to the left, same reason. They're far enough back that they can't get affected in the magic phase, but they can start having a go and getting some of this chaff out of the way. And then I've got the Avatar and the tree and the Dragon, just to give him a bit of cover from magic on first turn. And this side, because he's got his Quattl over there, I'm quite happy. If he wants to come forward, it means I can either threaten him with the Avatar, or he's more likely going to switch to the other side, to this area, and start having his phase there, which I prefer to, just to see it. So effectively, I'm trying to scare him off with my monsters on this side to make him move over to that side where I think I'm a little more durable. What I don't want him to do is stay on this side, unerring strike, and the rest of it just all on these. I want to be able to push on this side and force him out while keeping a strong centre. In terms of him, he's got the unit Saurians, one of his characters, which I think was the Fortitude one. He's then got his Stygiasaur Mystic Traveller, another unit of Skinks, another unit of Skinks, or 2 units of Skinks there, just to keep it quite narrow to come down here, and then his 2 Taurosaurs. I think the Engine of the Ancients is one in the middle, and then his other Usosaurus and Pterodons. So he's kept them just to force me back in the deployment. But what it does mean, he can still use his Vanguard and he can still come up and threaten me. So I think we're quite happy with the deployment at the moment. And then obviously I don't Vanguard much with these guys, but I do Vanguard up with these. I want to keep them out of range of his magic, and I probably should have Vanguarded them back. But I wanted them to be there in case he gave me an opportunity turn 1 by bringing forward where I could chaff and move all my monsters and Kestrels into position and give him a really horrible choice. In terms of turn 1, so he moved forward, not aggressively, but not, I don't know, what he's done is he's moved these guys forward, and then in a subsequent turn he's going to do that. He's put them into the Blade Dancers to draw them out. But what he hasn't, well, he forgot about the Drums of Kemrin. We talked about it before. He forgot on this moment because I do try and charge next turn. So he hasn't sort of angled the monsters to get. So if I did get in there, I'm going through into his Saurians, and it's really quite good. He's got his monsters on the side, so this stops me pushing in. If I push up the Dryads aggressively, a double charge from monsters is probably, and the Cowboy is probably not good. And then he's moved over this side. He wants to take out the Heath Hunters. He's seeing what I'm trying to do on this side. He's quite happy putting his Cowboys out because I don't think he thinks I can get them. But what he wants to do is he's keeping these guys back for late game. So he's in range of the objective with 2 units, but not threatening my line. He's hoping to thin me out, I think, before I get into him. In terms of magic, I think this was Swarm of Insects or an Erring Strike, basically, or Sparkle Creation, but he killed 2 off my Heath Hunters. And then this is into my turn. So what he hasn't done is killed them, but I wasn't really in a great position. He was quite clever by throwing the cowboy out. He doesn't risk anything because I don't really want to get tied up with that with my avatar because I 4 at 40 you could just hold me up forever. And he's got some quite good counter charges with the Saurians and that. Just a bit of combat rares and go for it. So he also doesn't give me a lot of good news with my Kestrels. The one thing I did try is the Blade Dancers. I tried a charge here, and this is where he's like, jumps on Kemrin. I'm like, nope. So he can't run away, but I failed the charge, which also means that my Blade Dancers are well within his drop rocks range. So there's probably going to be some casualties there as he brings them forward. In other terms, I've edged up the Dryads, so they're not within charge range, but I'm easily capable of going for the objective there. I've just got my archers and Dryads pushing up as well, is so I can get within range on next turn in case he goes for it with his skinks, whilst keeping the Dragon's Arc, so if he comes forward I can still have a charge that way. And this, because of that failed bit there, I decided to push with the Avatar and really threaten this area here. He can get in with that. That's quite an easy charge, and he can get in with there, but I still don't think he wants to, just because I'll get some buffs off on here, and that one can't make it, or not average. So I'm quite happy to threaten him here, and this goes into a plan. Force this guy back initially, and then over to the my left-hand side. So I've got the Kestrels over here. Heat Hunters here, so just a chaff, hoping they can survive next turn. See if I can draw them out a bit more. Advancing on this side, and then more cautiously on the left, just so I can shoot and see if I can get rid of these Pterodons. What happens is I get Oaken Thrown off and Summer's Growth off. Stone Skin off. He fails to dispel that, which is really good. So now I've got a Res 9 monster in there. So that means he's definitely not charging me now with anything because I'll just tear them apart. Or at the very least hold them up before counter charges from the Dryad and the Dragon. I only do 1 wound with the Pterodon, so that's with 5 shots from there and 17 from there, which was a bit disappointing, but it's so. And then these managed to put a wound on there, I think you'll find. But otherwise, I think we're both in reasonable position still, and I don't think the game's opened up yet. But I think I've got an advantage because I'm able to push his Quattl back over there. And that's just where my Kestrels are. So I'm threatening his flank, so he's kind of got to keep his Saurus on that side just to keep them away from the objective. And yeah, it's turn 2. So this is not charge, this is movement phase. So this is dropping rocks. It's quite clever. So what you can see here is he dropped rocks and he's taken my entire back rank off. So that's about 6 there. So I must have, no, it's 7. So I've lost 7 just from there. It's really good. And it's something I was aware of. He's also moved his champion up there just so that he's chaffed the unit. And then he's got some counter charges with the monsters there. So he's done it now, and it just gives me a difficult option of what to do. In my head at this moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to shoot them off next turn, and then probably have to accept my Blade Dancers need to block that cowboy. Maybe I'll get lucky and shoot him off if he doesn't want to come in. On this side, I've got another... I think it was either shooting from the Pterodons or magic, though I think it was magic, and I got lost another one of the Heath Hunters, so they're going down. And then in this side, shooting more takes this one off. Just something to be aware of, you can see the Quattles come back over to this side. What I didn't account for was Mystic Traveller, so forcing the Quattl over behind the hill, all it does is actually force it away from me, so it's something I've got to be aware of in future games. It's a really cool ability, and it's something just to think about. Otherwise, with the scoring, I'm quite happy. He's got one skink unit here. He's got the other one too far away over the other side of the hill. And then his both Saurus. As you can see, one's here looking towards my Briar Maidens, and the other one's on the far side blocking my Kestrels. So in terms of objective, I've definitely still got an advantage. I've got my archers here, which I don't need, but I've got 2 units of Dryads that could go forward and nick the objective, as long as I can pose some really difficult counter charges he doesn't want. So in this turn, I go big. Right. You see there's no Pterodons there. That's because I do shoot them off. What you also see, though, is this is at the end of my turn, sort of partway through my turn, there are these guys. They're all into this. So what he'd done is he left me a gap for my BSB to charge out and hit his cowboy. So I did that. And obviously, he couldn't flee because the drums are Cameron. So I put the Briar Maidens into flank for extra combat res. I didn't think he was going to kill him on his own, but hopefully I can make them run. So it was high risk, high reward, because if I don't break him and he stays there, I don't think he's in range, but they are certainly are, and them in the flank is just combat res, and I lose all that. Otherwise, these guys just shuffle. These are just a block. Basically, I don't want to get charged by these two, but I want to be able to counter charge this. So I'm offering him bait in terms of the dryads to go forward, so that I'm at least drawing the objective on this turn, and to go from there. Otherwise, on this side, I've charged. There is his cowboy there, and I've charged the dragon in on this side, and that's just to go after him and see if I can break him. He's got the best chance because he's only got a fortitude save, and maybe I can get some flaming attacks through and stuff like that, and just break him on combat res because neither of us have any ranks. So, and then I've pushed the avatar up into here. He's still in range of the law of the mage, and he's just threatening Hillis. He's, as you can see on his turn 2, he's pushed the Saurians out to there. So suddenly I've got this gap here where he can charge the Saurian, but I don't think he wants to. He can charge the Skinks in, don't think he wants to. And his Quattle's going to have to really run away now. His Pterodons are going to have an interesting choice depending on who to block, but it's really going to be about this combat here, about what happens there. If he holds me, there is a risk. If he doesn't, then and I can blow through him, then I've got the right flank sawn up. In terms of magic, the big one was Summer Growth. I managed to get up on the Blade Dancers, and also Healing Waters up on the Dragon. So I've got a 4-up fortitude myself to match his, but he's got the better save. And then, yeah, Summer Growth, just to get them back in the fight. So I think I give 4 or 5, or I did most of them, so I got the full thing. So I got 6 back. But it just means it's quite a dangerous unit again. In terms of combat, what happens? So he does 2 wounds to me, so I'm on 1 wound, but I do a wound back to him. And then between BSB flank charge, he fails his reroll. No, it wasn't a reroll. He fails his cold-blooded, and I overrun. I choose to, and he runs away. I choose to overrun away from the briars, so everyone goes this way, getting out of arc of these guys and getting into the Taurosaur. As oh, sorry, he does 1 wound to him. But yeah, now I'm into this guy. I can use my 3+ Aegis again. He could get in divination attacks, but that's something I'm going to stop. That's my absolute must stop on that one. And then, so I've kind of fixed here, and I think I've got the objective. I can push it now with my dryads because he's got to deal with this unit on this side, and they're too far away to go round to really have an effect. And the other Saurus are fixed on my Kestrels, so I'm pretty happy. Also, I do no wounds to him. He does no wounds to me. I charge, win by 1. He fails his cold-blooded again, and I overrun, and he didn't run very far. I chased him. So at the end of my turn 2, I've killed both his cowboys. And in my head, I'm like, cool, that's game. There's nothing much more he can do. There's nothing much more I'm scared of. I'm into one of his Stygiosaurs. I've got most of his combat threats out of the way. I can really start pushing now with the Kestrels and everything else. In his turn 3, I think he realised that. So he's brought the Pterodons to block the Avatar here, whilst bringing the Taurosaur over to this side. So he's letting this guy. He thinks he's got a couple of rounds of combat left to do. So before these guys charge in and just wipe out, and I think he's right with that. So I think he's made the right choice because he's got to break this Avatar. It's also worth 800 points. It's my big threat, and if he can get that still with 2 monsters out the other side, that means there are some significant threats. Because at the moment, although I've managed to get rid of his cowboys, so I think this is a good balance. My BSB is on his own. I don't think I've either got to keep going, and there's high potential that he's going to be left out on his own and killed off by magical shooting until I can get him back into Blade Dancers. So there's a risk. So he's sacrificing going for the objective in order to kill and get rid of these 2, and I think that's a good move. In terms of magic, he gets Stars Align off. He forces it through. I can't stop it, which is annoying because it means I've got to reroll all my Aegis saves. And then his shooting, he absolutely dominates between all the poison shots, and I just couldn't make a save. So he takes 3 wounds off the Avatar, which is really good. And that was between magic and stuff. So yeah, good phase for him. In terms of combat, he kills 2 of me, but I kill a significant amount of enemy. He only does 1 wound to the BSB. I think that was with Thunderstomp, so I got quite lucky with that. But other than that, it's still I've got an advantage, but I think I'll still kill him in next turn before he gets to go. I've put several wounds on him, so I'm pretty comfortable there still, and I could potentially give him a wound back, but it does mean I've got to put a dragon in at risk. My Sylvanel's turn 3, so I've brought this picture up again because I haven't got a picture of what happened. So I charge. I think I can charge through the gap and get through either to there or there. He hadn't quite properly chaffed me, and we had a look at it, and I could go through. So he fled. So firstly, he lost that. They panicked, ran away, or he had to flee with somebody. I think that was Kestrel's, but effectively what ends up, you have these skinks here left, this Taurosaur, but I don't think you have these two units, or that one. So it gives me a good advantage, or I go into them and kill them, but you don't have these two left. So his right flank is completely collapsed, and I can push with the Kestrels and Dragon. In terms of magic, I don't get what I want off, which was to raise another wound on them. But I do think I do get some wounds back on the Avatar, just to stop his shooting and magic next turn. In terms of my combat, you can see I've shot a load of them off here between these and the archers, just to make this unit a bit more palatable, especially if it goes into the BSB. But then in combat, I do kill off the final Taurosaur and I turn around. And the way I do it is I figured I didn't want to be charged by these guys, which was a mistake, or they would go into me anyway. So I turned to face them in order to block the Blade Dancer, so that even if they overrun onto there, I could charge through and I'd kill them off in combat bonus before they even got to strike. What I didn't account for is his Quattle, as you'll see. So on turn 4, also I got Stone Skin off last turn, so that was the big one. And I wasn't in range. Oh no, I do get in range. This is him shooting again, so I haven't killed them. I think I charged 2. Yeah, that was it. I charged last turn. I charged first the Stygiosaur, and then I could have got through onto the Saurians, but they both left. They both fled, but it meant I couldn't charge anyone, and now I've still got these Pterodons blocking me, so maybe I should have just gone for the Pterodons and got them off. I've now got to deal with them next turn, and between the shooting, of course, another wound to the Avatar. And this is what it is. So his turn 4, he's shuffled around up here, and he's charged into the Briar Maidens. Otherwise, his Stygiosaur has moved down and is threatening my Dryads. But I have won the objective at least twice now. Yeah, so I think by this turn, I'm pretty happy that I've won the objective. I don't think he's going to get Skinks down, because I think there's just too many threats elsewhere. So, but he casts Unerring Strike. I've got Fate's Judgment, Unerring Strike, Spark Aggression, all of them. I can't stop them. I've got MR2 and a 6-up Aegis. Yeah, it's not. So there goes the BSB, and that's a big points and a risk throughout. And he also kills off the Briar Maidens themselves. What he had to do was he also charged into my big Dryad block here. And I was pretty happy because they were in range of the BSB, dominating the objective, and I was going, okay, cool, this is good. Fortunately, the BSB dies. They get stomped quite a lot. Not that badly, but enough to break combat. And I fail my Steadfast 9, which is good. They did run quite far, so they got out and bounced through the Dryads, and the Stygiosaur didn't do it, but he's bounced into there. So there's my other combat unit that's probably going to be killed off. So at this point, I was like, okay, he could actually draw the objective again. But I don't think so. No, I still don't think so. I've still got too many threats here that can dominate him. So I'm still pretty happy that I've won the objective. But it does mean it's gone away. But the Dryads were unlucky. I was relying on a rerollable 9, which wasn't there. My turn 4. What I try to do is I've planned to use my archers to whittle this unit down, just to keep plinking at them and put them down to something that's not manageable. I've moved the Blade Dancers down here to block a charge into them, because I think they're going to die in my turn, because it counts the charge. And either he overruns into them, but more likely he's going to try and fix them, I think, to let the Skinks go through and start trying to score. Let's see if he can get those 2 markers. And he's going to kill them off. What I managed to do is get another wound back up on this guy, and I turn my dragon to face this. But I think this was quite an interesting choice. Maybe I should have moved the dragon over away. What I want to do was support with magic here, but I didn't. With druidism being only 12 inch, what I didn't want to do was get close because he's going to kill them. If I put the mage there, I would go for it. It's worth so many points, and it just means his Quattle can just be that little bit more dangerous and possibly kill the Avatar as well. So I took the easy option, just left him out of charge range, knowing that I wouldn't have the great effect I wanted to. Otherwise, I brought the Kestrels up to start, well, threatening these skinks over here and the ones on the hill, so he's got to start moving them out this way to limit his damage effect and charge the Avatar in, and he kills them off. Yeah, in combat, he wipes them out and he turns to face these guys. So on his turn, I killed a load of Slaughers over here. So on his turn, he charges in there and charges in there with the Taurosaur. So yeah, that's them gone. I managed to kill 4 of them. And here you go. So I've got 6 Saurus in my flank because there's probably arrows that I killed there. You can see what he's done is he's challenging the objective here now with the Taurosaur, but I've got the last turn there, so I'm not too worried because I can just move the Dryads in here to draw it, and that means I win. He's moved the Skinks over here with the Quattle just to protect him from archers, so I can get shot off, so we can take out the Sentinels because they're worth more points, and it's more likely to get killed than the archers. He's got the Skinks over here to see if he can take on the Avatar. So problem with the Avatar is I didn't kill all of them. The Pterodons ran away, and then I failed my Leadership 9 restraint check so I could turn and face into here. So I just ran off that way, which is not helpful, but that's the way it goes. So what happens is he stomps. I lose 3+ Aegis because I know I'm going to get charged in the flank with this one, and we just have a stalemate there. He does do some significant damage to my Sylvan Sentinels and wipes them out. So he's wiped them out on turn 5. Turn 6, in combat, I lose a load, but other than that, I'm pretty happy. I couldn't make the 3+ Aegis. It just went through, but they're in a word. They're stubborn. Leadership 9. I'm pretty happy with that reroll, and luckily they make it this time, which is good. Otherwise, I'd lose the archers and potentially the objective as well. In my turn, sorry, this is a bit blurry photo, but what I've done is I've left the archers there because I've decided I'm going to have a go at them, and I've moved this tree farther up and sort of this is after magic. So what I've done is I've used Summer Growth on there, get them back up again. So there's lots of attacks coming in. I've got the Dryads into his flank, so I think I'm going to break these in combat and kill them. What I've then done is move this guy up because I've shot them to death with the Centaur. So I'm wounding on 2s because they're strength 4 at short range. I just decimate the unit. It just means on my turn 6 I've got an opportunity to have a go at them. Other than that, I'm happier to move these forward now just to start plinking them off in charges. But I wish I'd move them over to here just to start threatening these other skinks. Right, so in combat, yeah, you can see the Summer's Growth. What I do is I kill a load of wounds on them. I put a few more dead on them. I lose a couple of Dryads and them, but overall I win and they break. I run and I don't catch any of either of them, which is a bit disappointing. But now I've got this Taurosaur here. No, I think the Taurosaur is dead. Yeah, I think the Taurosaur was killed. And only the Saurians are there. But what it does do is I've got another turn of the objective, so that's pretty much slam dunk now. He's on his turn, he starts moving back into the Quattle. So on his next turn, he's moved his Quattle back there. Maybe he is alive. I honestly can't remember. Apologies. I don't take notes because I'm not. I don't want to be too slow in a game. But yeah, effectively, lone skink person is going against Avatar just to see if he can stop him. And otherwise, he's protected this skink unit. But I think these two are goners. My turn 6, I do kill them off. Overrun into that. I don't know what. Okay, I kill that somehow. I'm not sure how, because I kill Torso, I think. But either way, it's a bloody game. He's pretty much got this skink unit and that left on, and the Quattle left on the table. Because I think I kill everything else. And I've won the objective. I've lost the Sentinels, my Heath Hunters, and my my BSB and Briar Maidens. So I've still lost a reasonable amount of points, but I've absolutely dominated the game on that, and it's gone to plan. I must admit, some of the dice rolls for Tommy were absolutely appalling on his magic phase, which I think could have swung it a bit more. But it was that charge at the beginning. In fact, it was the two failed leadership, cold-blooded leadership checks on his characters, because that just meant I was dominating. It meant there was no real combat threats to take on my characters or my blade dancers with any good chance of success. And yeah, it gave me a good run. So, and that's the killed report. So it managed to put me into a 16-4 with a nearly 2,500 point difference. And then the Silver Nails, we won the secondary. So, a great game still. It's good fun. Unfortunately for Tommy, it's not a great finish to day one. But unfortunately, it was one of those things. Good for me though, because now I'm submarining back up to near the mid tables. I finished day one on 26 points, so that's a much better end to the day. We then that night we went out for a curry, possibly the only place that didn't serve alcohol. That was interesting. And then prepared for the next day where I found out I was playing ID. Yay! In fact, we found out at the. Did we find out? No, I found out. We found out at the end of the day. I was placing Matt Wilson's ID, which is a beautiful army, and it won Best Painted, rightly so. If you look forward to seeing the models in the next battle report, they are absolutely brilliant. With mobile stuff, I mean, he had a mace that went round and round. But anyway, end of game 3, and it's looking pretty good for the Silver Nails, or looking a lot better for the Silver Nails. Thank you for watching. Until next time.